Japan is often considered to be an expensive travel destination, which is partially correct, but it's also true that it can be surprisingly affordable if you know these tips. I'm Jun from Japan Junkie, and these are 10 money-saving hacks for visiting Japan. Number 10. The first thing anyone needs to do when planning a trip is to select travel dates. The time of year you choose to go to Japan can have a huge impact on your experience, and not just financially. Let's take a look on the calendar. Cherry blossom season sees quiet towns suddenly become crowded. Hotels can increase their prices by 200%, and that's if you can even find accommodation. This is around March to April, depending on which part of the country you're in. The same thing happens in autumn when the leaves start changing, around October to November. Google might tell you that winter between December and February is the off-season because it has the fewest visitors coming to Japan. But it's a bit misleading. Apart from Christmas being a popular time to travel, the period around New Year's Eve is the most important time in Japan and can see very high accommodation prices and more crowds than usual. Chinese New Year is another expensive time that sees a huge number of tourists visiting across the country. It's also best to avoid Golden Week, the first week of May, as there are many public holidays during this time, meaning people will be travelling, some places may be closed, and some businesses may even add on a Golden Week fee. June to July is the rainy season, and summer holidays are from July to August. So the very cheapest times to travel are at the end of winter, the second half of May, all of September, and the first half of December. Obviously, Japan is wonderful year-round. We've been overly critical so we can find you the very best time, so don't be discouraged if you've already planned to visit during these periods. There's a reason they're busy, and that's because they're exciting times to be in Japan. Number 9. Airfares are the single biggest expense for most people travelling to Japan. The majority of flights will be coming in via Tokyo. There are two major airports, Haneda and Narita. While Haneda is closer to Tokyo, you might save money by flying into Narita because it services more international flights, especially the low-cost carriers. But Narita isn't even in Tokyo. It's 80 kilometers away. Luckily, there are many different ways of getting from the airport to your accommodation in Tokyo. You should first decide whether you want to travel cheaply, quickly, or comfortably. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. The best combination of all of these is the bus. It only costs around $10 US, and you can reserve a seat or just buy a ticket when you arrive at the airport. If you're tempted to take a taxi, it could end up costing hundreds of dollars. But if it's really what you want, the cheapest way is to pre-book a shared taxi, which costs significantly less than a private trip. Many people travel for business on Monday or Friday, so if you're flexible, you may be able to save by flying on cheaper days. Don't forget to use comparison sites to find the best price for you. Number 8. Paying for overweight luggage and having to drag around large suitcases can be a real pain. So firstly, there are some clothing items that you can leave at home. While hotels around the world usually provide dressing gowns, Japanese hotels provide pajamas. If you're staying at a traditional hotel, they may even provide a yukata that you can wear during your stay. Shoes that are flip-flops or look like slippers will make you stand out. And the same can be said for any clothing that's too casual, like sweatpants or short shorts. If you're travelling with suitcases, it may be cheaper and easier for you to use the Taku bin service, rather than paying to check your luggage. This is a service that can ship anything very quickly to anywhere, and the prices are surprisingly reasonable. You can send your luggage from the airport for around $20. It's completely safe, very quick, and you can send your luggage between hotels, saving you the hassle of pulling your luggage around crowded, rainy or snowy streets. Not to mention that using trains with luggage can be nearly impossible during the peak hours. Number 7. Once you're in the country, you're going to want to see as much as possible and cover as much area as you can. You may have heard of the JR Pass, which allows unlimited train usage, which sounds great, but you shouldn't automatically buy it just for convenience. The JR Pass is only for Japan Rail lines. There are other independent train companies in Japan, and it doesn't cover the subways or buses either. The best thing to do is to add up all the trips you plan to make and compare with the cost of the JR Pass. Google Maps is your best friend for travelling within Japan, as it gives you multiple options and tells you the price of each. But the cheapest method of all is walking. Most cities are very pedestrian friendly, and it's a great way to enjoy everything that the country has to offer. One last transport tip is that you can save money by using an overnight service. They are some of the cheapest transport options, and you'll be able to sleep on the bus, saving the cost of accommodation for that night. Number 6. There are some general tips for using money and paying for things in Japan. Although there are more and more options to use cards and different payment methods, Japan is primarily a cash-based society. so make sure your range of payment options includes at least some cash. But it's probably best not to bring your whole trip's allotment of yen with you. If you lose it, it'll be a catastrophe. And even if you don't, you'll spend the whole trip worrying about it and checking it constantly. Avoid exchanging any cash at the airport or any other tourist location. It's usually best to order part of your money while you're still in your own country. When you're in Japan, you usually get cheaper rates using local ATMs. You can check ahead of time to see which ATM will accept your bank card. Before your trip, make sure to check that there aren't high fees for using your card in another country. Speaking of using your card, make sure you call your bank and let them know your travel intentions. There is a chance that your bank will freeze your bank account or card if they detect overseas activity, which can leave you stranded. If you're staying for a while or using public transport frequently, you might want to pick up a prepaid card. For example, the Suica card for the Tokyo area starts at 1,000 yen, around $10 US. Having a Suica card means that you don't have to worry about buying train tickets, as you can just tap on and off during your trip. You can even use it with most vending machines and taxi services. Don't forget to return it at the end of your trip. You'll get back the remaining balance, along with a partial refund of the cost of the card. Number 5. Japan has accommodation that is unique to the rest of the world, but before you organise where you're staying, it's important to decide what you want. Do you want to be close to the action, or do you just want to be in the cheapest place possible? Are you going to be there a lot, or are you just resting there between action-filled days? Knowing this will save you money in the long run. If you stay too far away from where you want to be, you'll be wasting money on travel every single day. If you're out hiking every day, you don't want to be wasting money on a luxury hotel that you're only going to be sleeping in. Once you work out what you want, don't forget to use comparison websites as well as the company's own webpage, because sometimes there are deals if you book directly. Capsule hotels can be a fun adventure and a good way to save money if you just need somewhere to sleep. But it is best to stay just the one night, as if you have noisy neighbours, you may be in for a difficult week. Sometimes paying more for accommodation in Japan can save you money, as the hotel stay can be the experience in itself. Ryokans are the traditional inns in Japan, and staying here means that you don't have to spend as much on attractions and going out. You could just spend your time at the accommodation and enjoy the facilities in an authentic Japanese environment. Number 4. Communication while traveling in Japan is easier and cheaper than ever before. Of course, if you're not careful, it can still be expensive. Make sure you don't get hit with international roaming charges by turning your roaming off. You might want to also turn your mobile data off and put your phone in airplane mode. Now, no mistakes can happen if you accidentally check your phone out of habit. The cheapest option for staying connected is using free Wi-Fi, which is available across most major cities and at just about every hotel. Of course, you can always use Starbucks and McDonald's in between. If you want your phone to be constantly connected, lots of places recommend getting a local SIM card. This is definitely an option, but considering that most people can communicate solely using an internet connection alone, you can save money by using pocket Wi-Fi instead. For example, Ninja Wi-Fi is a popular company that offers these at a reasonable price. It's easy to pick them up at the airport and return them at the end of your trip. Number 3. While you're in Japan, purchasing food offers an opportunity to spend a little while receiving great quantities of high-quality cuisine. Starting from the most basic budget, you can get excellent food from one of the many convenience shops that are around most corners across the country. These range from basics such as sandwiches and sweets to high-quality packaged bentos and fried hot food. Although you absolutely could live on convenience food alone, restaurants can be surprisingly cheap, especially for the amount you receive. One huge bowl of ramen can start at around 500 yen, around $5 US. Not only is it enough to fill you up, but it's also one of the greatest tasting meals you can get anywhere in the world. Instead of eating in the evening, you may be able to save money by having your biggest meal at lunchtime, as many restaurants offer cheaper prices in the middle of the day. While there is no tipping in Japan, make sure that you're careful about the cover charge, which is a compulsory cost for eating at an establishment. It's usually a flat fee, and some restaurants can add about 1,500 yen per person onto your bill, and it isn't optional. If you're unsure, you should ask "Table charge ga arimasu ka?" before being seated, otherwise you may get a surprise on your bill. Similar to this, otoshi are small amounts of food like appetizers or salads that are served to you that you didn't order. Many travelers think they're getting free food, but are then surprised by the few extra 100 yen on their receipt. Technically, you can refuse the otoshi before being served, but it's usually understood that these small offerings are compulsory, whether you eat them or not. Number 2. You don't have to spend a fortune while shopping or buying souvenirs to take home. Secondhand shops in Japan are famous for being filled with high-quality products that have been lovingly cared for. some of which look as if they're brand new. If you're looking to buy a designer brand, you can find a perfect condition item for a fraction of the cost. There are plenty of these stores that specialize in specific pre-loved items. Bookoff sells secondhand books, and the popular shop Super Potato is well known for selling high-quality retro video games. If you're wanting to buy new products, there are still ways to save money. Many stores offer duty-free prices for people who are staying in Japan for less than 6 months. So don't forget to bring your passport when you're shopping. If you want to buy anything else, there's a good chance you'll find it in Don Quixote for a very low price. You could technically do all your shopping here, from the clothes you wear, the food you eat, and the souvenirs you buy, all in this one store. Number 1.
Itchy.
Usually when you plan a trip to Japan, there will be things that you want to do that will cost money. First of all, it's best to make a list of the attractions and activities that you're interested in. Then check them online, as there may be discounts for booking ahead. Second, check to see if you can use a free alternative. For example, the Tokyo Skytree has one of the best views of Tokyo, if you're willing to pay a few thousand yen. But the Tokyo Metro government building has the same view, but it's completely free. Some parks like Shinjuku National Garden have entrance fees, but you can walk through the nearby Meiji Shrine and Yoyogi Park without paying a single yen. Once you've budgeted for the activities that cost money, you can then fill the rest of your itinerary with free things to do. Castles, temples, festivals, even walking around neighbourhoods can be a day's worth of entertainment. While it's definitely fun to visit theme parks or exhibitions, it's usually the accidental experiences you discover for yourself in between the things that you'd actually planned to do that make the most lasting memories. The interactions you have with real people or in Japan's amazing nature are priceless, without costing anything at all. It really is true that the best things in life are free. Thank you for staying all the way to the end. You can leave a comment with any suggestions you have for future videos, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.